Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95 and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.
We are live, and it is the final day of March, Thursday, March 31st. April starts tomorrow. April Fools, Teddy Covers, giving you a heads up. Be prepared. It's coming tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're going to finish off March with a bang here. We got a great Wager Talk Today show live at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, every Monday through Friday right here on Wager Talk TV. And, of course, archived 24/7, 365 here for your viewing pleasure. And don't forget about the audio versions on all your favorite podcast apps as well. When you're zipping around town or at the gym, you can listen to us here on Wager Talk Today. Starting off as we do every Thursday with Dave Cokin, and we're going to switch it up a little bit. You know, today I believe would have been opening day, today and tomorrow. It's going to be next Thursday and Friday, but we're looking at some baseball. Dave's got some season win recommendations for us with both the Tigers, Johnny Detroit's Detroit Tigers, and my Washington Nationals. We're going to look at both of those. Dave is quite simply the number one profit leader the last 3 years combined in MLB at WagerTalk.com. Teddy Covers big game breakdown in NCAA Final Four, Villanova, Kansas. Teddy has a strong 5% play in the Duke UNC game. We're going to give you a promo code here in a little bit for that, but he's going to give you a free play on that Villanova, Kansas game. Don't forget about the NHL, Carmine Bianco, Jets, Maple Leafs, Stars, Ducks. And then we finish it off with a little NBA action with Rob Veno, Lakers, Jazz, Cavs, Hawks. So we're covering all the major sports, baseball, basketball, and hockey today on Thursday. But Teddy, before we get to all of that, I need to know if you learned anything last night. It was a big NBA card on Wednesday. What did you learn, my man?
Well, people still ask me all the time, you know, especially when I'm doing radio shows around the country or whatever. Is Vegas back? Is Vegas back? So the numbers came out for February. 1.13 billion gaming win in February. Nevada has now exceeded $1 billion in gaming win every month for the last year, since the last March. And of course, gaming win defined as the amount casinos collect from slot machines, table games, and other forms of casino gambling. That doesn't even count the hotel rooms, okay? And the hotel rooms, the booking rates are now averaging $149.50 per night. So occupancy rates way up from where they were. Room rates way up from where they were. Convention attendance, which a year ago was non-existent at all, is now way back, 439,000 in February, So people go, well, is it back? What about sports betting? All right. Well, last year, when you talk about some of the numbers, 445 million hold for the books off 8.1 billion in wagering, both easily breaking all records from 2018. You read the quotes. Michael Lawton, the senior research analyst for the Nevada Gaming Control. It's obvious that sports betting levels here in Nevada are historic, and that the legalization of sports wagering in other parts of the country has done absolutely nothing but help our business in Nevada. The numbers speak for themselves. And I thought Jay Kornegay said it best. He goes, they're getting introduced to online sports betting in other states, but ultimately they want to hit the mecca of sports betting. It's almost like the other states have done us a big favor. It wasn't like betting hasn't been going on in those states all along. It's just that they were using illegal channels. All right. There's still nothing like Las Vegas. That's from Jay Kornegay. So gaming numbers through the roof, room rate numbers through the roof, sports betting numbers through the roof. We can say it now, Steve. Vegas is back.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure Vegas has ever left. And the analogy I'll use is back in the late 1970s, and I'm sure Dave Cokin can attest to this as well, is that when Atlantic City opened, a lot of people were saying that was going to be the death of Las Vegas. And this is, we're talking casinos, of course. Vegas didn't have, sports bet. I mean, Atlantic City didn't have sports betting in the 70s, but everyone thought it was going to be the death of Vegas, and all it became was double A or triple A Vegas, and everyone wanted the big time. They still went to Vegas. So I think sports betting is doing a lot of the same thing. As Jay Cornegie says, giving everybody a taste in these other 20 plus states more so. And a little bit of knowledge is sometimes a dangerous thing. So people that maybe would have dabbed their toes in it when they went to Vegas now think they're sports bettors and probably play a little bit bigger. The final thing I'll say also is that a lot of money has been pumped into the economy the last couple of years, right? So people's got some extra spending cash and they were locked up for a year or so. So we'll see how this plays out, Teddy. I'll take the under 2 years from now when the recession hits, inflation continues to boom. But I think it's been a pretty good setup here this past year with the reopening. And the biggest thing, of course, is the Far East, Asia. When those people have money, those are where the whales come from. So a lot of intangibles. I always find it fascinating to study those Vegas numbers because a lot of it has to do with how the economy is doing as a whole. We'll see if that plays out, Teddy, in the next year or two.
Yeah. That's the bottom line. It's interesting numbers to talk about. And, I like to bring up gaming figures and gaming numbers and compare Vegas to the rest of the country. And this is just one more example of how, the rising tide lifts all boats. Same thing at WagerTalk. We're all rooting for each other. Okay. It's not like, I'm rooting for you to lose or you to lose. When we all win, our clients have more money and they're going to buy more plays. Everyone's rooting for everyone. It's a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's a very similar story when it comes to certainly sports betting and casino gaming as a whole. Even though there's more competition for Las Vegas, Vegas still very much a destination location.
Yeah, one guy's been in Vegas for quite a while. Dave Cokin, WagerTalk.com. And Dave, I want to ask you, when did you first get out to Vegas? I know you're from the New England area originally, but you've been there for decades now, right?
Been a legal resident here since '81.
Wow.
So I'm now in my fifth decade. I'm almost a native at this point.
What's been, other than the population boom, what are some of the other biggest things that's changed, obviously, since '81?
Better restaurants.
Really?
A lot better restaurants. And not as many comps. Back in the '80s, basically until the Mirage opened, the Mirage kind of changed things. The city became more corporate. But prior to the opening of the Mirage, if you ever paid for a meal in town at any of the casinos, you were doing something wrong. I mean, everything was comped.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's changed even in my lifespan the last couple of decades. It's obviously become more family oriented, and I guess the Mirage had a lot to do with that as well. Wynn was kind of the guy that probably changed a lot of that. Cared more about the family element than actually the gambling element. Then they kind of bit them on the foot in the '80s and '90s. They went back to wanting to get more high rollers back in, and Vegas has gone through a couple of different cycles like that. You don't think so, Teddy?
The only thing that bit Wynn in the foot is he just kept on trying to build more casinos for them it was paid for. And then every time there's an economic downturn, oh crap, I got to declare bankruptcy. Too much leverage. That was what cost Wynn.
Well, but big picture though, I mean, less people were gambling. Although they're bringing more people out there, so maybe that's not true. I mean, maybe percentage-wise, less were gambling, but they probably still had as many gamblers maybe out there. But as Dave said, back in the '70s and '80s, it was all bettors.
The biggest change, though, is it's not just a gambling town anymore, which it was.
Right,
gambling
that's my point.
Some big-name entertainers once in a while, but it's now the entertainment is the reason people come here, and they can gamble to boot. But
and the food,
it's still the best place. Yeah, and it's the best place in the world to host a convention, and there's just tons of stuff to do here. So, you can gamble if you want as well, which people obviously do.
Yeah, and of course, our friends at the Westgate, Jay Cornegie, you referenced, Teddy, and of course, we have Arthur DeCesar on every week on Wednesdays. They have one of the best. They were kind of the first big convention center, I believe, the Las Vegas Hilton back in the '80s, and kind of set it. It's essentially talking about the restaurants because that was kind of my point that it's more of an entertainment destination now than just a gambling destination like it was maybe 30 years ago.
Well, look, I mean,
hey, Dave,
everything's coming. Everything's good. Now we're adding 3 Formula One races. Everything.
Ooh.
No, that's going to be huge. You're going to get people from all over the world coming in for Formula One because it might not be a big sport here in the States, but it's huge in Europe and other locations. So we're going to get a baseball team here soon. We've got like 2 or 3 proposals for privately financed arenas, which is clearly to host an NBA team. So we just keep getting bigger.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest changes for me. When I started in the 90s, you couldn't bet on UNLV or Nevada Reno games at the sports books. And then in 94, I think you couldn't bet on the Rangers or the Knicks at Caesars because they own part of Madison Square Garden. And now, as Dave said, you've got the Raiders, you've got the Kings. And that segues in nicely, actually, to some baseball, Dave, because last year, obviously, a lot of talk about the Oakland A's maybe moving out to Vegas. Let
We
me
don't
know
have
what
the
your
Kings. The
so
Kings
I
are
was going to
still
say,
in it.
what
We have the Golden Knights.
Not Knights. I said Knights, but I was thinking Kings because you said basketball, and Sacramento's always been a team on the selling block because even here in Virginia Beach, there was rumors about them a couple years ago. So yeah, I had NBA in the mind when I said Kings, but yeah, the Golden Knights, but Oakland A's possibly could be out there. Your thoughts on that, and we'll jump into some baseball.
We'll end up with a baseball team. Who it's going to be, or whether it's going to be an expansion team, or what, I don't know. But they'll be here by 2000, inside 2030.
Do you make the over under 2030? You're taking under 2030?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would say 27 or 28.
Yeah, I'll take the under even there. I think Vegas is too big to turn away here for some of these teams. Like you said, expansion or somebody will relocate. Let's look at a play. You've actually had this posted on your page at WagerTalk.com. It's a great reason to check Dave out. He puts up a lot of his actual personal plays, his free plays. But we want to talk about the Detroit Tigers, AL Central. You know, the East looks loaded this year. The Central has been a little bit weaker over the years. Do you think that'll help the Tigers maybe get over the 72 wins?
Well, I wish it was 72. Then it would have been a 5%, but I think it's 78 and a half. I think they're a winning team this year. The thing of the Tigers is this: they started last year 9-24. From that point on, I think they were 7 games over 500 for the remaining 3 quarters, roughly, of the season, and they've clearly improved themselves going into this season. Tucker Barnhart's an upgrade behind the plate. The 2 rookies, Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, should be contributors right out of the gate. The big pickup is Javier Baez, who found new life when he went to the Mets in the second half last year. He looked like the old Javi Baez, and he's a massive upgrade at shortstop, which was the weakest position on this team last year. The pitching, you've got Tarek Skubal, who to me looks like a number 1 starter. I don't know if he's there yet, but he's got great stuff. Mize, former number 1 overall pick, he's progressing nicely. They get Eduardo Rodriguez from the Red Sox. Manning's there, Alexander's there, Pineda could help at some point. This is a team on the rise. I think they're going to be a winning team this year. And Tigers, clearly by going after Baez in the offseason, have indicated they're not sellers anymore. They're going to be buyers if they're involved come trade deadline time. I think they will break through and have a winning record this year. I think they're an 83, 84 win team. Maybe not a playoff team, but getting closer. And I think the Tigers over is a good bet.
In terms of Detroit right now, what would be your biggest concern about the Tigers? Bullpen issues, lineup issues. If Detroit doesn't go over, what's going to be the issue that the Achilles heel that keeps them from achieving their goal?
It'll be the pitching because the offense is going to be pretty good. It'll be the pitching. You never know if the young guys they could take a step backwards. You never really know about bullpens. Although I kind of like Soto and Fulmer. I don't think it's a bad combination in the 8th and 9th innings out there. But I really like this team, and I like A.J. Hinch a whole lot. I think he changed the culture there last year. This team made a big effort on a regular basis. They were never out of a game, it seemed. And I think the transformation continues. The long dry spell is over in Detroit. This could be a decent team.
And that's an actual 4% play, by the way, for Dave Cokin, over 78.5 wins for the Detroit Tigers. And he's got his 3rd ever 5% prop play, a 5% over-under win at WagerTalk.com. So I highly recommend checking that out. And yeah, I misspoke, Dave. I said 72 wins because I was thinking of this next team we're going to talk about. Nationals around 71.5 wins for their over-under. And it's good timing because I was watching the replay last night of the Philly spring training game, and I saw the ticker go across the bottom last night. And I had to rewind it because I thought I saw like 29 for one of the teams, and it was the Cardinals beat the Nationals 29-8 yesterday, and they gave up 15 runs in 1 inning alone. I know it's only spring training, but things are not looking great for the Nationals here in the D.C. area for this 2022 season.
No, I think this team's got a chance to lose 100 games. First of all, they're in some pretty tough company. The Braves are the defending world champs. They're going to be real good. The Phillies look like they're going to be solid. The Mets have a spectacular rotation and should be a good team. And the Marlins might be the best fourth place team around. I mean, Marlins are not bad. You look at Washington. The pitching, first of all, is a disaster. Patrick Corbin goes into the season as their projected number one starter because Strasburg's hurt. And the rest of the rotation, probably Josiah Gray, Eric Fetty, Anibal Sanchez, who was part of the crew that gave up 29 yesterday. He gave up 10. I don't know. Josh Rogers. It's an awful rotation. The bullpen, they really don't have a closer at this point. They've got closer by committee and not much to set him up. So the pitching staff is terrible. The offense might not be a whole lot better. Yeah, they've got Soto, and he is an absolutely great player. He's one of the top 5 players in the game. But what else is there? They've got a young catcher, Ruiz. Don't know if he can get it done on a regular basis. Josh Bell had one great year for the Pirates and kind of an ordinary guy outside of that. Cesar Hernandez bounces around to a different team every year. Michael Franco, who's basically an extra part, is the starting third baseman at this point. Alcides Escobar, another bounce-around guy, is a starting shortstop. Nelson Cruz is 100 years old, and he can still hit. So we'll put a check mark next to him as the DH. Left field, who knows? Lane Thomas, I guess. Maybe Benintendi. Victor Robles hasn't lived up to billing at any point. That's a bad team. So it's not just the division they're in. It's the fact they're also as bad a roster as you're going to find in the National League, in my opinion. I think they're right there with the Diamondbacks, potentially the Rockies, the Pirates. This is a really bad baseball team in the division. So I don't see where the wins are going to come from. I think this is a 100-loss team that's in a complete rebuild mode. And I don't know why I only made it a 3% play. It probably should have been stronger than that.
So here's my question, Dave. When you look at the bottom of the win totals, you have Baltimore, Detroit, and Arizona, the 3 teams lined in the 60s compared to Washington, who's in the low 70s. Why aren't the Nats lined in that same range? Why do you think the markets have them a good notch too higher than the other quote-unquote bottom feeders?
Because they haven't been real bad for a long time. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Because if you look at this roster, it stinks. And they don't have a lot. They really don't have a lot on the way in terms of prospects. They're in a rebuild. I don't know why. I can't explain why. But to me, if they put the total out around 65, I'm going to say, okay, well, that sounds about right. But where it is in the 70s, I just don't see it. I think they're going to be one of the not the worst team in baseball, but I think they're going to be easily in the bottom quarter. And that, to me, if you've got a total in the 70s, bet it under.
Yeah, and if you look at last year, they win 65 games, and that's with Max Scherzer in the rotation still. They win 43% in 2020. That would have equated to a 70-win season with 162 games. So the last 2 years, Dave, they've stayed under this since the World Series, and they look maybe worse this year. So hard not to say there's value.
All the other teams in their division, all 4 of them look to be improved. I don't know if the Braves can improve because they won the World Series, but Phillies look better. The Mets clearly look better. And the Marlins, don't sleep on the Marlins. The Marlins could be real spoilers. I didn't bet them over, but I think they could be a factor. Their pitching's really good. And if they can hit a little bit, they're going to win some games this year. And nobody likes to go down there anyway. Nobody likes the ballpark. It's a pain in the ass trip for the NL East teams. It's also miserable in Miami in the summertime. So anyway, I think Washington's a good bet. I've got 6 totals that I played, including the 5% play, which I think is an even easier winner than Washington. And I'm ready for next Thursday. Let's go. Let's play ball.
Yeah, we're a week away from opening day. And once again, Dave Cokin, the number 1 profit leader the last 3 years combined in MLB at WagerTalk.com. And as Dave just said, he's got a strong 5% total. If you like those 2 he just gave you, the 4s and 3s, You can imagine how strong the 5 is, because those seem pretty solid to me as well. And Dave, we'll see you in about an hour and a half
Yep. Quick
on the
note,
college show as well. Yep.
I've had 2 5% totals. One in hockey this year was the Golden Knights. I clinched that with like 20 games to go on the schedule, the under. And the other one was the Texas Rangers last year, which I basically had clinched in June. So the 5% plays have been good. And I will mention this is the last day. It ends at midnight tonight. This is the last day for the early bird pricing on the Major League Baseball. It's a huge savings off the full season price. I mean, a massive savings. So check it out, get signed up, and let's go.
Yeah, that MLB is almost $1,100 for the season. It's just $6.99 right now, and as Dave said, that expires. So you better jump in now if you want a full season of baseball, and you can get tremendous profits, almost a full 7 months of baseball when you get any capper right now. WagerTalk.com for a substantial discount. Thank you, Dave. He'll be back on in about an hour with me and Drew Martin and Joe Ranieri, as we'll be looking at the NIT finals tonight, and also both NCAA Final Four games on the College Tip-Off Show at 1:45 Eastern here on Wager Talk TV. And Teddy, you don't have to wait that long to hear about one of them, because in 30 seconds, big game breakdown, you're going to look at Villanova, Kansas right after the break.
Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95, and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down, and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the Final Four. And I'm not going to break down both Final Four games. That's a big game breakdown, because I do have a 5% big ticket play on the other one. And I have another 5% big ticket play in NBA for tonight. Use promo code TC15. Take $15 off the 5% big ticket for this evening. But yeah, let's talk a little Villanova and Kansas. And it's real simple right now. All right, this is not a game that my handicap is going to go super deep. Here's the concept. Villanova is a 6-man team. Gillespie, Moore, Samuels, Daniels, Dixon, Slaters. 5 starters and a 6-man. No one else on the team averages 10 minutes per game. No one else on the team scores or rebounds even 2 per game. It's a 6-man squad. When a 6-man team loses one guy, I don't care how much the market say he's worth. I've heard 2.5 points is what Justin Moore's absence is worth in the markets. Doesn't matter what the markets say. He's worth more. Okay, I say more, and no pun intended. Obviously, it's Justin Moore who's out. 2.5 points is not enough. It's not the same team. This isn't a 9-man team that can withstand the loss of their second leading scorer and one of their key defenders and a key guy. It's a 6-man team, and that's a huge difference. Kansas is the only number 1 seed still standing. They're the team to beat in this tournament every bit as much as Duke is. The Big 12's been as tough as nails all year. They were tough as nails in the tournament so far. So we're talking about the better team, the better conference, laying less than 5 against an opponent that's not 100%. And I know Nova plays D. No argument with an under here. But the side for this better is clearly the Kansas Jayhawks. And I wanted to make sure I put it out on Thursday, not Friday. This line might be 5 tomorrow. We're starting to see a couple of 5s pop up. Markets recognize Nova not going to be quite as good as Nova has been. That's advantage Kansas. Give me the Jayhawks minus the 4.5. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merril.
Teddy covers big game breakdown, a little free action there in the first Final Four game for Saturday. And of course, Teddy, I believe little birdie told me you've got a strong play in the UNC Duke game, if I'm not mistaken, and you've been red hot on all sports for the past month, number one at WagerTalk.com. To make it even better, let's give them a little bit of a discount. What can we do for the viewers here of WagerTalk today for that 5% play?
It's real simple. Promo code TC15. I got a 5% in the NBA for tonight. All right. The NBA has been ridiculous. I mean, it's been really hot. 4-0 this week, 25-7 last 32. I mean, it's been a real nice NBA run. The games are jumping off the page. If I'd have been playing more during this span, this run would be even more ridiculous because the games are really jumping at me. So there's one that jumped at me tonight. Use promo code TC15 at checkout. Take $15 off the 5% big tickets over at WagerTalk and or sportsmemo.com.
Yeah, and Teddy's just, as he said, red and hot. 4-0 this week in the NBA, now 25-7, 78% over the past month since the end of February in the NBA. And Teddy, by the way, will be on with Rob Veno later and Ski Profit at 4:15 Eastern to talk even more NBA here with Joe Ranieri. So be sure to check out NBA Tip-Off at 4:15 Eastern. And don't forget, earlier in the day, it's always at before we're on, so I never get to promo it, but there's always puck time at 11 a.m. Eastern most days, Monday through Friday. And one of the regular staples of that show is our next guest, Carmine Bianco from WagerTalk.com. And Carmine, NHL, we talk about the NBA, we're talking about the Final Four, but NHL's in full swing as well. And let's look at some hockey for the viewers today. What do you want to start off with here? How about a little Jets Maple Leafs, Carm? What are you looking at in this game tonight?
Yeah, this is, and thanks for having me on the show, guys. We're in the stretch run of the NHL season, 20 or less games and a lot of jockeying for positions, especially in the West, which is wide open right now with a lot of teams trying to get in, including the Vegas Golden Knights. But this one here, Winnipeg's on the second of a back-to-back. They were in Buffalo yesterday. The game went to a shootout with Winnipeg coming out on top. An interesting fact with regards to Winnipeg, a couple players who weren't available yesterday because of testing positive in Buffalo. Leading goal scorer Kyle Connor will not be able to play tonight. He can't travel into Canada, him and Nate Schmidt, because the rules up until today is the last day where you need to test to get in and out of Canada. So they are in Michigan right now. As of April 1st, you can travel back into Canada without testing. So they're stuck in Michigan waiting to travel home to Winnipeg. He's the leading goal scorer for Winnipeg. He won't be able to play, and Schmidt on defense is a big miss for them as well. This is a team that needs all of their tools in order to go into Toronto and beat this Leafs team. With Hellebuck playing yesterday, it's going to be Comrie in net tonight for Winnipeg. I don't see them getting much out of this game, but the line is just so high on Toronto right now. I would rather look at it with a different angle. You can take the regulation line on the Leafs here, and instead of laying 260 or 270 on Toronto, you can get them at 130 to win in regulation. Now, regulation means your bet is graded on 60 minutes. So if the game goes to overtime, it's a losing bet. But if the Leafs win in 60 minutes, different books in the States, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, will list it as in regulation or 60-minute line. So that's the number that you're looking for. The Leafs will have Kallgren in net tonight. Mrazek was injured in Boston. He's out 6 weeks. Jack Campbell's ready to come back. He's cleared medically to come back. He has a rib injury, so some goaltending issues with Toronto, but Kallgren has stepped in, and he's been adequate and good enough for this team who's scoring goals. So I'm going to take the Leafs in regulation tonight.
Leafs in regulation from Carmine Bianco. Carmine, how you feeling, buddy? How are you doing? I know, you've been dealing with stuff. I've been dealing with stuff. Your wife's been dealing with stuff. How's the family? And it's good to see you back on your feet, man.
Yeah, anyone who is from the East Coast, or if you're from a cold weather state in the U.S. or up here, it's provinces. When when you travel and you go from somewhere cold to somewhere warm, and then you fly back and you enter a cold region again, you're going to get sick. You're going to catch a cold or a flu. So I lost my voice in Vegas, which my wife was thrilled with because she didn't have to listen to me yak or yap. But it's coming back. I'm doing puck time. I'm feeling so much better. And I'm just ready for the second half of the NHL season. It's been great thus far since the start of 2022 with money line selections. I'm number one at WagerTalk, hitting 73.3% of my NHL money line plays. And this week, 5-0 with a couple of 5% winners. So I'm looking to keep that NHL run going.
Well, let's see if we can keep it going with a opinion for this evening. Let's talk about Dallas and Anaheim. The Stars minus 170 on the road. I am seeing minus 175s out there, so they are taking a little bit of money as we speak. Total sitting at 5.5, a little bit of juice to the over. What do we do with the Stars and the Ducks in Anaheim on Thursday night?
Yeah, this is one of those rare instances where you're seeing a team play back-to-back with the same team in the same venue, and that's what's happening with the Dallas Stars here. Again, this Anaheim team is in a free fall. I can't make a case. Normally, I would say take the team that lost the first game and play them in the second, and that worked earlier in the season when teams are playing back-to-back. It's not in the second half of the season. It's because these are two teams heading in different directions. You've got the Stars are playing extremely well. Ottinger is playing extremely well in goal as well too, and the Ducks are in an absolute free fall. Minus 170, 175 is probably the ceiling on what I'd want to lay with a road favorite. But Dallas is obviously the better team here. You could go the regulation route. You can actually do something where, if you want to lower that minus 175 line and not take a regulation type bet, you can split your wager in half, which I would suggest doing in this instance, and take the Dallas Stars half your bet on the money line at 175, and then taking them on the puck line as well too, where you're laying a goal and a half, but you're getting plus 145 on your money. Stars are making a playoff push in an ultra competitive Western Conference, and I think they get the win tonight, and it could be won by margin.
Yeah, that's actually something Dave Cokin, we just talked some baseball with Dave earlier, but Dave has done that over the years. Baseball, he splits it half on the minus 1.5 run and half on the minus money line to win outright, and you're basically essentially making a minus one line, although a lot of books do offer those now in baseball and probably in hockey. But if you don't have excess, you can always split as well. And Carm, 10 straight losses for the Ducks, and we saw this situation last week in the NBA. The god-awful Portland Trailblazers had 2 straight home games against the almost as god-awful Houston Rockets, and the Rockets won them both easy by double digits. The terrible home team still couldn't get it done. So we'll see if the Ducks can turn it around tonight. Carm, not only are you number one in 2022, but you're number one the last 3 and 7 days in the NHL. Perfect 5-0 run the last 3 days, 7-3 the past week. What else you got planned at WagerTalk.com?
Just a couple plays tonight on the NHL card. I might add a third. Dave, listen, Dave's a great guy in NHL betting, and he'll tell you the goalies are the most important part of knowing who the starting goalies are. I'm waiting for some confirmations, but 2 plays loaded now. A third one might go and might get added to that package, but we'll look to keep this run going with those 2 plays. You can get the rest of the NHL season, regular season, for only $199 if you use coupon code NHL199. So that's good for all of the handicappers, but I'd rather you guys use it on me. So NHL199, get the rest of the NHL season for $199.
Yeah, once again, perfect 5-0 the last 3 days, 7-3 the past week. That's Carmine Bianco. And if you go to his page right now, you get 2 best bets for tonight for $29, or get everything for the rest of the season, including that special promo code you must have, NHL199. That's the way to go. NHL199 gets you the rest of hockey. Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, we looked at some baseball, little NCAA, some hockey, and of course we got 5 NBA games tonight. And we're going to look at 2 of them right now with Rob Veno. And then you and Rob and Ski will be back with Joe Ranieri at 4:15 Eastern, of course, for NBA tip-off live here on Wager Talk TV. And as Rob Veno will remind you, please hit subscribe. We're getting so close to 100,000 here on the channel. And Rob definitely gets excited when you hit the like button. That makes his day as well. So, Rob Veno, no further ado. Thanks for jumping in today on Thursday instead of your normal spot Friday. I couldn't wait, Rob. I had to see you a day sooner since I won't see you on the NBA show today.
Yeah, it's quite the squad that's going to be on the NBA show today with myself, Teddy, and Ski. So, and of course, Joe is always, worth the price of admission. So we'll have fun, Steve. We'll miss you, but I'm glad I'm here this afternoon. And you know what? We're going to talk about a couple of games, and I think it's only appropriate that since I think, filling in for Andy Lang, that I came with one that was a prop bet.
Ooh. Well, do you want to start with that one? Because I know the 2 games we're looking at. Which one do you want to start with, Rob? We doing Lakers Jazz first? Because you got to get ready for this game just so you can have extra info for Ski today.
Yeah. Let's get the Lakers out of the way because Teddy knows Teddy will probably scold him about the Lakers later on. So I don't get too
It's
involved
his
with
fault.
talking Lakers with Ski. Yeah, we can start there, guys. I'd like the full game Utah Jazz team total over 119 in this game. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you're just fading the Lakers defense here. That's the biggest piece of this handicap. Lakers defense right now in complete disarray. They've allowed 120 points or more in 6 of their last 8. They've allowed 51.5% from the field or better in 5 of their last 6 games. Defense just not there. They allowed 23 pointers to Dallas on Tuesday night. The Jazz happen to thrive on threes. I think they shoot them the most in the NBA, average per game wise, and they make a whole bunch of them. So when your 3-point defense isn't good, this is not the opponent that you want to be playing. The Utah Jazz on somewhat of a losing streak, but I don't think that's going to affect the points that they score here tonight. In 5 home games this month, they've scored 121 or more in 4 of their 5 home games. It's been a road-oriented month for Utah, but they'll be happy to get back home here. As I mentioned, scored 121 or more in 4 of those 5. The 5th game, the one that they didn't, they scored 111 against the Bucks, and they only shot 39.8% in that game. So if you can shoot below 40 or barely 40 and still get to 111 against Milwaukee, I'm pretty sure you can get over 119 against the Lakers. Every other one of those 5 home games, the 4 that did go 121 plus, they shot 48.5% or better. At home on the year, they average 116.3, pretty strong number. And I think when you play a number like this, guys, in a game where perhaps you would anticipate a margin between the two teams, I think it's important that you make sure you think that the favorite is going to have to keep scoring. And I feel like Utah might have to keep scoring in this game. I don't know that we'll see any fourth quarter, take everybody out last 7 minutes and play your backups, because defensively, they haven't been any good either. And there's a good possibility that the Lakers score a bunch in this game. Jazz have allowed 110 plus in 7 of their last 10. So hopefully the Jazz get to play 4 strong quarters here. Biggest point I want to make here, without LeBron the other night against Dallas, the Laker game, if every single shot had gone in the hoop, and you guys have talked with me enough to know that I'm big on these potential points. If every single shot attempt goes in the hoop, how many points would have been scored in that Laker-Dallas game the other night? The answer is 487. The reason why that's significant is because Dallas on the season per game only averaged 447. That's 40 points more than Dallas generally gets in shot attempts and potential points scored per game. Lakers are just helter-skelter all over the floor. I think there'll be plenty of chances in this one. The Jazz happen to be number 1 in the NBA in points per possession. We're going to try the Jazz here. Full game over 119 points team total.
So, Rob, I know you're a quote guy. And the quotes coming out of Utah at the tail end of that road trip were as ugly as it gets. You know, Rudy Gobert. You know, again, they're blowing another 25-point lead against the Clips, which is the same thing that happened to them to get them knocked out of the playoffs last year. That was, the 4th or 5th straight loss on that trip. And the quotes to me were as red flaggy as they get. You know, Rudy Gobert. Just again and again in the same way. Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. It's the same shit. I mean, it really feels the same way, the same thing. This is literally the same thing. They're missing Bogdanovich. They're missing House. They're missing Whiteside. They're losing. They're coming back off a crappy road trip. There's nothing to prove in the regular season. 5 straight losses. I don't like this Utah team right now. Clearly. What makes you think that they're going to? I mean, it feels to me like this team could be no-shows for the rest of the regular season and into the postseason. All I want to do is fade Utah. So talk to me. You're talking about these home road splits. What else besides the home road splits make you really like the Jazz right now? Because this offense hasn't worked at all on this road trip.
Yeah, well, it worked for 115 against the Clippers the other night, Teddy, and 115 is pretty close to 119. And the Lakers, as I mentioned to start this, it's a straight fade of their defense. And it's not a play per se on Jazz covering a point spread, on Jazz doing anything special. It's a play on Jazz going out there, rolling the ball out and scoring points, which there's a possibility Bogdanovich gets back tonight. Maybe, maybe not. Even so, if he doesn't, again, the Clippers are a far superior defensive team to what LA is, the Lakers side, as of right now. And to score 115 the other night, I think is a pretty good indicator that they can get to 120 against these guys. They could lose the game outright. I don't want any part of laying 13 points, whatever it is, with the Jazz. But I do think when it comes to sheer offense and the way Lakers games and pace are going at this point in time, I think certainly we can count on Utah to get over that 119 mark.
Rob Veno likes over for the team total for the Jazz. Probably wouldn't talk you off a game total over as well, around the 227.5 range. And that's actually not the highest total on the board. There's only 5 games, so I thought that might be the overtime segment, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Bucks and Nets when you guys are doing the show at 4:15 Eastern. That total is currently at 243.5. So I'll make a little wager that the overtime segment today is going to be Brooklyn-Milwaukee on NBA tip-off. And once again, Rob Ski and Teddy will be breaking that down with Joe at 4:15 Eastern. Another game on the board I want to talk to you, Rob, before we get you out of here is Cavaliers and Atlanta Hawks. Cleveland's a team that's been up and down this year. They were one of the best point spread teams in the league until the last month or so. They definitely failed to cover the majority of their games over the last 10. I think they're on like a 2-8 slide maybe against the spread. Hawks, meanwhile, have covered 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 7. So two teams somewhat heading in opposite directions. How you playing Cavaliers at Hawks? Atlanta about a 6-point home favorite.
All right, we're going to shorten this up and play first half. And you know what, guys? This morning when I sent this over, this first half total was 117.5. It's currently 119. I believe they have moved. Money has moved the full game total, if not 10 points, darn close to 10 points already. And you guys both know, recognize and adjust when you're going through an 82-game season in the NBA, whether you're going through a 162-game season in Major League Baseball, 16 in NFL football or 17, you have to look and adjust to what's on the floor at the current time. And for Cleveland, last night was the first time they're on the floor playing 3-guard offense and small ball. They're not designed to play small ball. Obviously, we know that Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Larry Markkinen formed that picket fence across the paint. It's gone. It's no longer there. And I think last night's game is significant to this handicap. First of all, let's not get off of this train where the Atlanta Hawks are concerned. Atlanta first half overs are 9-2 now in the last 11 games. And more importantly, 8 of those 9 that got over have hit 119 or better. Now, that was even more significant when the number was only 117.5. But still, the point being made here is these games are scoring a lot of points in the first half with Atlanta. If you just shorten that up to their home efforts, at home in the first half, Atlanta is 11-1 over the first half total in their last 12 games. 10 of those 11 hit 119 plus. The Hawks are not fooling around offensively, and they are fooling around defensively, which is great when you're playing overs. Fool around all over the place and get us over the total. They're 14-2 over the total at home in their last 16 first halves. As I mentioned, Cleveland goes to the 3-guard offense, mostly due to the injury situation, right? You get Garland and LeVert in the backcourt last night, Okoro at small forward, and Karis LeVert goes for 32. No longer can Cleveland come up the floor, look to the paint, dump it into Jared Allen, dump it into potential Rookie of the Year Evan Mobley. Now the scoring onus is on quicker tempo and guards doing their thing. It's probably a great reason why everybody has jumped on over here this morning, knowing that Cleveland's game plan has shifted a little bit. What happened last night in Dallas, again, I'm using Dallas as an example, and it's great that they were the game that Cleveland had last night, because Dallas doesn't move up and down the floor at all. But that first half got to 128, 67-61 last night. The Hawks also had a big scoring first half last night. Both of these teams on back-to-backs. That could mean a little bit of lackadaisical defense in this one. The Hawks starters' minutes last night, however, were minimal. Only one Hawks starter, DeAndre Hunter, played 30 minutes. Everybody else under. The Hawks rate number 3 in the NBA in points per possession right now. And if you think that I'm playing this game just because of one game last night where Cleveland has had to change direction offensively and scheme-wise, Let's look at their defense real quick, guys. This defense has been eroding for the last 8 games. They have now gone 8 consecutive games where defensively they've allowed 47.2% from the field all the way up to 56.4. So there's your margin, 47.2 to 56.4. It's important because on the year, Cleveland's only allowed 45% from the field if you take overall season statistics, and that's good for number 8 in the NBA. Those days are gone. They're not that defense right now. They don't have that rim protection. Atlanta probably takes advantage. Cleveland will take advantage of what's been a sorry Atlanta defense all season long. I think they rank 26th in the NBA in defense right now. I'll take over 119 first half.
Yeah, Cavs have gone over 6 straight, then they had back-to-back unders, and then you said last night an easy over last night by about 18 points with the small ball lineup. So it's hard to make an argument otherwise. And that line was initially 220 quickly. That was the overnight, early afternoon line yesterday. And basically before that game was even done last night, when they saw the small ball lineup, went to 222, 226. I mean, it basically moved because of the lineup and then the result as well. So Rob Veno says, so the full game, take that first half over. Cavs are an over team right now with that current lineup and current defensive form. Rob, quite simply, number 1 in the NBA the last 3 years combined at WagerTalk.com, 200 and plus, I think 236% increase in bankroll. What you got going for Thursday at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, we're up and available right now, guys, with an NBA release. You can get that at WagerTalk.com. Going to have something in the NIT tonight as well. That'll be posted this afternoon. So you can get NBA and college hoop, both over there at WagerTalk.com.
It's Rob Veno, and once again, he'll be back at 4:15 Eastern with Teddy Covers and Ski Profit and Joe Ranieri talking about all the NBA action on the board tonight on NBA Tip-Off. And once again, it makes Rob extremely happy when you hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000, and when you hit that like button. So let's do it on this show and all the shows you watch here on Wager Talk TV. Teddy, I'm going to have some NBA up this afternoon as well. I've got my Final Four package. I've got a 3-pack, both sides, and the total loaded for Saturday. And I'll be back in an hour to talk about the NIT finals with Dave Cokin and Drew Martin here and Joe Ranieri at 1:45 Eastern on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. And then you and I will do this one more time tomorrow on Friday before the Prez returns next Monday. Take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition. We'll do it again tomorrow. Like Steve just said, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, what do? Enjoy the games and good luck.
Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95, and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down, and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.